previous two segments, we explored the systemic dimension, the realm of concepts, ideas, logic, and rules, and the extrinsic dimension, where we act, build, measure, and produce. We ended with the idea that the ultimate purpose of any worthy endeavor is to create value in the form of quality of life. Quality of life is the domain of the intrinsic dimension. Intrinsic value is infinite. It's the value something has simply because it exists as its unique self, irreplaceable and incomparable. For something to be intrinsic, it must hold an infinite number of meaningful properties, attributes, or potentials, and be valued for itself, not for its use, outcomes, appearance, or systemic rules. Human beings represent the quintessential example of an intrinsic thing. Human beings have infinite value not because of what we do, have, or believe, but because of who we are. Nothing else in the known universe meets this standard. Our intrinsic value doesn't depend on abilities, appearances, accomplishments, or beliefs. It's about personhood, not performance. Intrinsic value cannot be increased or decreased. It's infinite. Every human being is of equal infinite worth, including you. That's not just sentiment. It's grounded in the logic of formal axiology. Yet throughout history, human value has been misunderstood, misjudged, or denied because of race, identity, ability, or beliefs. We've intrinsically elevated or diminished one another for extrinsic or systemic reasons: politics, education, nationality, wealth, appearance. We've even gone to war for purely systemic reasons. A child is no less valuable than a CEO. A person with disabilities is no less valuable than an Olympic athlete. Even a criminal doesn't lose their intrinsic worth as a person. That's hard to accept because in a civil society, we must hold people accountable for transgressions. But accountability is an extrinsic or systemic judgment and should never override the infinite intrinsic value of the transgressor, the person. Axiology teaches us that there is no rationale for cruelty towards anyone or anything. Period. The intrinsic dimension is also where we find love, compassion, dignity, belonging, grief, hope, inspiration, and trust. All the immeasurable sentiments that define the human experience and point to the true purpose of our systems and innovations. To improve quality of life for ourselves and others. In leadership, culture, and performance, the evidence is undeniable. Putting intrinsic value first isn't just a lofty ideal, it's the only reliable path to maximizing value across all value dimensions and for every stakeholder. When people feel intrinsically valued, when they know they matter, when their work has meaning and their contributions count, and when they're treated fairly, commitment, engagement, culture quality, and performance soar. Publicly traded organizations whose culture surveys reflect high levels of intrinsic indicators such as well-being, psychological safety, and trust produce 8.5 times more revenue per employee and 3.5 times greater stock performance than market averages. Not only is this evidenced by statistical data, but the reasons are understood through research in neuroscience that reveals how intrinsic experiences shape cognition, motivation, discretionary effort, decision-making, and well-being. Moreover, numerous studies from organizations such as Deloitte, the World Economic Forum, and Harvard Business point to the need, a mandate even, for a more intrinsic, humanistic approach to personal, leadership, talent, organizational, and societal development. What's needed is a new way to develop leaders and organizations that truly care to put people above profit and power. The challenge is meeting that need in a way that people can teach it, lead with it, and more fully live it, authentically and consistently through their choices, actions, and interactions. That has not been an easy task in a world that has historically been dominated by extrinsic and systemic mandates and desires. But the science of formal and applied axiology holds the keys for making that mandate a reality. To that end, let's dig a bit deeper and look at how the three dimensions of value fit together and work together. As you've likely realized, the three dimensions of value form a hierarchy, what Dr. Hartman called the hierarchy of value. In the next segment, we'll explore that hierarchy and its profound applicability to all that life is about.